morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's very good to see so many landscape architects. And so my speech will not talk about actually about 3 minutes, because those topics what about I will speak here. Are actually not the problems, and I will clear before my speech that I'm not criticizing. I try to discuss and visualize my thoughts about our situation, why we have, why our landscape architecture is special, and what we can do better. I have a quite long introduction, but I guess then you will understand why it's so. In this world are few things what is very clear. The first is everything's changing. I'm not original if I say that, but this is actually normal. And in landscape we don't have things what are eternal. And of course all these processes where landscape changing is for people, for visitor, for observer normal when he can feel those processes right now, but when he's looking back, he can say, oh yes, that's changed. Or he can accept them where he's sure that those changes are necessary and they happen quickly. And another sure thing is that the speed is increasing. And these are my colleagues 10 years ago. If you recognize yourself, greetings. And what it means, this speed of changes also reflects in our landscape architecture very clearly, and maybe in Western Europe those processes are not so dramatic as here, because where Soviet time ended, we trying to get back all those 50 years stagnation, and so all the changes are here quite dramatic. The iPhones, virtualization, laptops, and so on. So this is not only a technological problem, technological things, but all this reflects also in landscape. And so we must build a new attraction to attract people to come out to parks, city plazas, and it's again, it's normal thing that the cities, the places, try to say, they like have competition. When you are more attractive, then you get more success, and so this landscape architecture in some places the basis for better economy, better living space, and so on. So as I said, the changes are normal, and it's not bad. But here is one little thing scratching me. This is if we build very quick, if we get some emotions very quickly, we take part some landscapes or some environments very quickly, then very often we found that those landscapes are composed or created. The new landscape, like just the visual things, and they have good installations. They are photogenetic. They have very good first impression. They give very good first impression. But if you go the third time, second time, fourth time, you find that it's not anymore so attractive, and you keep looking new places. So our social demand for landscape architecture is a bit problematic because it bases on very short business tradition and actually in post-socialistic things. And this means that we must do attractive and cheap solutions. And there is another thing. It is we must do everything by norms in open urban space. Different normatives, and if we don't do so, we can't get necessary clearings and so on and so on. And because often the landscape solutions are quite formal, and this is, I guess, a problem. And I want to not say that the landscape architects do bad work. No, I guess we don't have things here not so bad. Maybe it's not too bright, but if you remember things 25 years ago and the looking spaces right now, they are much more better. But the problem is that the social society and the politics, they don't actually realize that the landscape architecture can make places better for living. So this is the context for my speech, and now I want to talk about so-called myths, and maybe if I do so, I just there is two questions. First is, do we need to change landscapes? I don't mean it by principle, but in any cases. And the other question is how and who can do it. And if I ask those questions, then in this context I will talk about myths. So the first is there is two spaces in our landscape architecture in our on our society. The first is architectural space, and the other is landscape architectural space. Our landscape architecture is quite young. We started here the landscape studies a bit less than 20 years ago, and today we can say that our traditions and our landscape design practice is just beginning. It doesn't mean that before that we didn't have landscape architecture. Of course not, but it did different people from different professions. In Soviet time, in the end of Soviet time, in several technical high schools were teaching of landscape design or gardening or landscape management, and this was image for landscape, because all those high schools, their programs was directed to the rural landscapes or agricultural landscapes, less or more. And when landscape architecture design started in Estonian Agricultural University, then was again this big picture that or image that this is the landscape architecture. This is something agricultural, or it's related to some florists, related with some grasses, or this is mumbo jumbo somewhere between exotic things. And this image we feeling even today. This few months ago, where we were in our Ministry of Economical Affairs, this is right. There was for people from Ministry was quite a big surprise that landscape architecture is what it is. We have architecture here, we have engineering here, but landscape architecture, what it is. And every morning, if you wake up and look to the mirror, you must say that I'm not idiot, I'm landscape architect. And it's really not good feeling. So, this is context when we starting to prove that we are handling much more than flower arrangement. And the second thing here is that we using also wood architecture, and this makes situation that we must sometimes prove that we because the society don't know actually, or they know that we do things what we don't do. We must prove that we don't project or plan buildings, and here is one myth that we have landscape architectural space and architectural space, and conflict here is in this that often people from the street thinking that okay, if you don't handle the architectural space, what to do? This is, I guess, a topic from Estonian Landscape Architecture Union about the lobby. Sorry. So, this landscape is just another three-dimensional space. If my first myth is just about misunderstandings and maybe all context, then this is much more deeper and philosophical thing, because this is a topic of our fundamental design or planning. And if we looking our landscape, then we can see that there is no there is two systems. One is the living system, and the other is the mortal system. And stone and plant, human and soil and so on. The picture of present landscape, this is not appears right now, but it is result of progress of many years. So we must think about of fourth dimension of the landscape. This is the time. We can't actually measure the time, and we can't mark the start of the time on some places in landscape, but we can very clear mark stopping that time. When we take some place and we do the sharp changes, there is three possibilities. The first is nothing happens. The place will survive, we can living, and actually the users, the people who visiting or living there, they just feeling that their quality of life is better, but they can even see changes or feel the changes for sharply. The second thing is the old place is stopped. This is history, and now begins a new story. And this is also not very bad, because landscape is not museum. But the first thing is when we killing the place, stopping here right now, and the new design is also dead after the birth. It is so bad or meaningless. And that is bad. And when we just do a visual landscape, we handling it only his visual part and not the time. Then appears that we don't have places actually for people, but only for show. The material is actually we can start from blank page. It's related with the previous and this is true that we can, if we pull those places what we design, that is much more cheaper to build new environment, new landscape. If we clear all landscape, we can build such kind of attraction what we want. But maybe here is one little thing. What about we must think if all life, those iPhones, those internet attraction, exciting things keep us running. We're running. Then this landscape can be the place where we can jump down from the train. And if we jump down and we find that this space landscape between evenings, all this running system is running, also running system itself, then but actually are no place to go. And this is actually why we can't start from blank page, because we don't have any landscape. I guess in Western countries where there is without history, without these cultural layers. So, the mythos of nature. The second big thing is actually also one layer of our cultural landscape is the nature. And very popular is in landscape design to talk about protection of nature and this formula, sustainable design is so used that if somebody talk about that this design is sustainable, then very often it's just the words. I guess if we are looking at the big picture, looking at Europe, looking to the world, then the problem and we're handling with landscapes, natural landscape and nature is one of the main topics of landscape architecture. As the previous speaker also says and showed the different biodiversity gardens. But here is a bit different approach. Not just few facts. Over 50% of Estonian territory is the forest, the natural forest. And after that we have over 10% different wetlands and natural meadows. And so from every Estonian town, if you have a car, you can, I guess by 10 minutes or 15 minutes reach some natural place, and you can get the contact with the nature. We are the nature for us is so every day think that we don't think about absolutely maybe then there's someone cutting some tree somewhere, and this is not only the natural or agricultural landscape where we can find the natural, but also in our cities. During Soviet time, there appears a lot of naturally growing greenery and so on and so. And this is so because we have everywhere natural things. We don't even mark them. When I was a few years ago in Hooge and paid €6 ticket for going to the national forest, I started to think that this is very big value that we have here. And if I'm looking now to the plannings and projects, then we very easy bulldoze the places. We cutting the trees very easily. Don't talk about grasses. Grass and soil, this is very secondary thing. We can put it to the cars and take away, and some other place we can get the soil and put here and there, and actually we have now our first problems with them, because if we talk about sustainable design, we try to do so that this greenery and forest and all will survive, and we put our technological system in. For example, a few years ago it was very popular to create residential areas to the national forest around cities, and the people buy their properties house in nice pine forest or house in nice birch forest. But during the beginning, all this roots or all the soil system is changed. And now all those trees are dying, and the dream house in forest is gone, just the houses today. Oh, another thing, we in last autumn did some inventory in northern Estonia, where is one of the longest alleys in Estonia. It's Palmse Manor Alley, and there was a problem that highway road maintenance, they cutting branches with grass cutters or something, and so they destroying the trees. I did a letter to the environmental board and get answer that sorry, Mr. Nurme, it's good that you write that letter, but Mr. Nurme had done good work and did and we have learned how they restore the alley. This is nonsense because I self-did that work, and this just reflects that this the guys in minister, they don't read it. And today some telephone company just putting cables in alley. The trees are 300 years old, and they are destroying half of roots of these trees. And I guess if they die right next spring after 3 years, I guess they are gone. And why I talk about those examples? Because this reflects how we take our nature, how we take our power. And this is, I guess, the biggest shame. If refer to Peter Schantz's research, then even people living in green environment, then they are 25% less sick than other people. There is no comment. The myth of ecology. This is actually again related with the previous slide, and again we very often talk about that we must create gardens or green areas that are just designed by ecological way, but actually no one realizes what it actually means, because this is a natural land without maintenance near Tartu, and in autumn time it was very pretty. There is no grass cutting, and those plants are their natural beauty. But this is because 1 year is without maintenance. The next spring, I guess, is the bill will change, and actually we don't know if the maintenance there will not come, what there happens. Maybe not bad, maybe not good, but we don't know, and we don't have experiences. So we have such of kind landscapes, lot of in cities, near cities, wastelands or wastelands. And if, for example, making this kind landscape somewhere inner cities, people will asking what it is. We have a lot of wastelands migrate, and this is again why we can't put why we can't use the ecological design as just like a words, because we must realize that this needs also care and no careless places. Okay. Landscape architecture as decoration. This is maybe a problem that comes from the first myth we have. Architectural and landscape or architectural space. And if we talk about built environment, then very often the landscape architecture is presented as greenery or playgrounds or something. And very often the plannings and local plannings handling with the landscape, so that even if you want to do some there, there is no place. There's parking lots, housing and houses and maybe 5%, 10%, 20% where you can do greenery, nothing more. But the greenery is not landscape architecture. And what happens? It happens to be producing dead landscapes before they are built, and this is, I guess, my problem here. So, the last myth about what I want to talk is this all what is in Ostland, in German word. Okay, in Europe or in US or even in Latvia, better than that what we're doing here. You all know this magazine Topos. It's a very good magazine, but I guess this is very powerful weapon when stupid landscape architects get it, because you can't take over solutions and experiences without putting in our context. And but that we doing every day. We getting experiences from, for example, from Portugal, and try to make landscape as in Portugal. Or we see something, some expo and trying to do mechanics. And that is again, I guess, wrong, because we want to do our Barcelona without thinking that we don't have here Barcelona. We have here Karksnuja. Estonia, we understand, but this is the last myth, I guess. They are much more that, okay. So, conclusions. The first question what I asked was, are the changes normal? I guess they are normal and necessary. But we must have the time to customize. And we can change very sharply. 15 years ago, one of the Estonian landscape elements was hayraks, understand? Hay or cows eating. And they are absolutely different than hayraks in Russia, absolutely different than hayraks in Finland or Latvia. Even North Estonian hayraks are different than Southern Estonian hayraks. Today they are gone. The one element from landscape is gone because the technology is changed. But this happens for a long time, and this is normal, and actually nobody crying today for that. But if we changing some places where people living and don't asking them what we do, or why we do, or who we do, then then the changes are not normal, and we must do them. Second thing, landscape architecture is interaction between people, between different layers of landscape, because we are not designers, we are translators. We must translate the meanings of the landscape to the user, to the end user, to the people who will use them. And this is not just design. And so we can arrange with landscape as just three-dimensional space. This is a picture every Estonian want be here when he died. Okay, it's ironically said. The traditionality. If we want get places, what are personal and the first thing, I guess, if we create place and if we can cut it out from the context and put the other place somewhere, for example, other city or other country, and nothing happens, in this design is good there too. I guess this is not fair. This is not for human, this is for man. So, to be personal and stay maybe against the globalization, the Coca-Cola culture, then we must use our cultural values and traditional things, and maybe we can't do such in landscape. We can't copy. We can't make museums. We can do absolutely new designs, but if we can link them with traditional ways, our cultural landscape, then the places will live. If you're using granite from China, plants from Poland or plants from Holland, if you're using geodetic steel from France and gabions from France, and so those elements are technology are good, and I guess we can use them too, but not everywhere and not every time. Designs for integrating must be understandable. It's also related to previous things. And if we doing something that we're doing it for the man, if I can't understand the design without special signs, then it's part of bad design. Today we have one topic that if you do something, we put design what it means. Okay, when we have several cultural places, then it's normal that we explain that those ruins are from 15th century and those ruins are from 17th century, and this tree is the neurological reality. It's okay, but when we must the visitor describe what this design means, why those trees are arranged so, or why the stones are so, and people don't understand this path. So I guess the beauty of design must come from local cultural levels. So all those myths and all those things what about I know there is related, I guess, the fifth dimension of landscape, and that's the man. And actually, there is, I must need even talk about, but I guess all things in landscape, all design things, the measures, time, the forms are for human, and we must create for human, for man. Because without man is not landscape. Landscape is only for us. For frogs and for apes, they don't need landscape. They have environment. So I will end asking if in designing something there is no the main question how and why but or who. That's the main my topic. What about must think about an Estonian landscape architecture today, or who we doing for landscape. Thank you, and I'm sorry my English is not bad.